Welcome to Keep Trucking Personal, where we invite you to explore the heart and soul of our company, Kivi Brothers Trucking. Through engaging storytelling, insightful market updates, and vibrant energy, our podcast reflects our culture, values, and achievements. Whether you're a team member or industry enthusiast, join us to build connections, foster growth, and inspire excellence. Discover why we're more than just a company. We're a community, a catalyst for positive change, and a home for those aspiring to be part of something extraordinary. The pre-trip is complete and engines ready. We're set to hit the road on the Keep Trucking Personal podcast. Let's go.
Welcome back to Keep Trucking Personal. My name is Tyler Kivi, and I'm your host. Today's guest manages and plans all of our central region, and this is the busiest region we have, so there's a lot that comes with it, and I have a lot of questions to ask. Sam Baum, welcome.
Thank you, Tyler. Great to be here.
I'm excited to ask all these questions I have, but first, I want to ask, you're a female in a male-dominated industry. Can you tell me what that's like?
You know, it can be a little bit challenging, right? Because obviously, with not as many women, there isn't as much confidence placed in my ability to do my job. So it's always a little bit more of having to prove yourself. But I'm up for the challenge. I'm game. Let's go.
I can say that, like I said, the volume, the fast decision making that you have to do is insane. You move the most freight. And when I think of the freight, it's not just like load a truck from the central region, which could be Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, to Arizona. It's sometimes Illinois to Iowa and Iowa to like, so you're sometimes even planning within your region multiple trucks of the same, the same truck multiple times. So it just keeps coming. It doesn't just go away.
Right.
Yeah, that's amazing. Hats off to you for how fast you work through that. So being female in a male-dominated industry, how did you get here? How did you get into this?
I fell backwards into this, honestly. So I started in a local courier company, and my ability to problem solve, which I think kind of comes along with my different way of thinking, being a female versus a male, right? So my approach has just kind of made me stand out and proven my ability to get the job done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When I think of female, I always think to my wife, and she's always got the sound decision making in our family. If it comes to a situation where there's a thought that has to be what's right or wrong, I usually stand back and say, because she's got a much better judgment. And I'm going to say you have that same characteristic, because the decisions you make over and over and planning and home time. And so are there things that you never expected this industry to have or be like? Like you said, you kind of fell into it. So what do you think of it?
What I love about it, and what drew me in, is that it is something different every day, but it is the same thing every day, right? Like, it is, you're moving a truck, you're moving freight. It's from here to there. You got this, the same standard things you're doing, but each driver is different. Each load is different. The weather plays in, holidays. So it's something that always keeps your attention drawn in because it's so different.
Yeah, it's like an air traffic controller. Like, every situation is a little bit different, but the concept is the same, right? Like, you understand what you're doing. Yeah. So falling into this industry, do you have anyone that's in your family that's in trucking?
My grandpa used to truck up for the mines up in Hibbing up there. So, I kind of got a little bit into it from there. He used to tell me about all the cool places he would go and see. And so that's kind of always been appealing, but we don't want me behind a truck. So I'm just going to sit here and plan.
So speaking of planning, traveling, have you traveled much of the country yourself?
Kind of. So I am best known for little random trips, right? So I just took a trip out to Cleveland, right? And we ended up driving out to Niagara Falls, seen a little bit of everything, seen some Pennsylvania, seen some cool things that you just wouldn't expect, right?
And that's your first time being out east?
Yep, that was my first time out east. I went down to Kentucky to meet you folks. That was a fun little trip with good old Dave.
Yep.
And then otherwise, just kind of out in the Midwest, so.
Cool. So you have a lot of little pop-up trips to come yet, you're saying.
Oh, plenty planned.
So being a planner and dealing with customers and drivers and really that fast paced, like you do, what makes you successful in that? Like, what do you do, or what, maybe how do you start your day? Like, I feel like there's so much energy that goes into this planning. When you leave, you're probably like, oof, like the day is done. Like, how do you prepare yourself for that?
Lots of coffee, number one. You can't go without coffee. Maybe even a little energy drink if I'm feeling feisty. But, I come in and I kind of look to see, who's all lined up to be where and when. I really like to go over and see what I'm kind of working with. And then I'll go over kind of the loads that I have available at the time, and then kind of go mix and match from there, right? So it's a little bit seeing what I can line up, putting my puzzle together, right? So I always, like when you finish a puzzle, right? You usually do the frame on the outside work and then work your way inside. So that's what I like to do. I like to find my groundwork outside and then work on in.
That's a good way to picture that, right? Try to take care of the structure, make sure that the hot loads, maybe you could call it, right? Or the things that have to ship are handled, and then you start to piece it together. And I know we've taken on an approach to be more, we've always wanted to pre-plan, but to be more proactive in pre-planning. Is that like a feeling of gratitude when you can kind of end your day and you're like, okay, tomorrow is going to be crazy, but I'm actually satisfied with where I'm at because I've got more pre-planned and I've got more situated. The frame is already done for tomorrow. I just got to put the little pieces together.
Yeah, it definitely helps. I like it. I am sure the drivers like it and the customers like it, but with that, obviously things can go wrong, right? Mm-hmm. So that you always have to be able to be flexible, and plan ahead and make new plans. So that's a big part of where like the communication piece really ties in here. Yeah. Because without the communication, I don't know what's going on, and that could mix everything up.
It's funny because a common theme through these episodes we've done is flexibility and communicate. And those are kind of the frame of this puzzle for a driver even, or a customer or a customer service rep, really any position in this company. If you communicate and you can understand some flexibility, you're not super rigid where if something changes, it derails you. Because that would make this job really hard if you took these changes that come your way personal, right? Like if you're like, oh, this shouldn't be like this, and it's just nature of the beast.
Right. It is what it is. You can't have it any other way. You just got to roll with it, go with the flow.
Yeah. So do you get a lot of time to talk to drivers, or you're just to the driver managers, load planners?
I think it's easier if I'm able to communicate, with the DMs, right? There are a few drivers, who come in, and I'm happy to talk with them. It's just easier, right, when you're going through the right channels, and that's what we want, right? We want to go through the right channels. We want to keep the communication in the right way. But it is nice when drivers do get up to the Blaine terminal and I get to meet them and they give me, feedback on the loads in the central region that I plan. And then that kind of helps me grow and move forward.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, when I was saying you move the most freight, I don't just mean that like, hey, we're having this is an episode I'm going to give kudos. Like you're in some instances double than most regions are. When I look at the volume, it's Minnesota outbound. That's where our terminals are. Right. Mm-hmm. And then it's central region, and that's you. And it's like the Minneapolis airport compared to some other zones we have, or territories are much more like a small airport. There's a lot of pop-up things, not consistent volume and lane definition. And so is there a spot where you just get in the groove and you're like, you've got it planned and things are just happening, or what gets the day after the frames put together moving quickly? Like what's your workflow like?
Usually after I kind of have the groundwork laid down, I try to address any issues, right? Like if somebody's being delayed or anything like that, right? Because usually if there's an issue, that's something that needs to be handled first. So I try to tackle that. And then, it's just kind of piecing things together, as they come in, checking to see where home time is, checking to see what their needs are, and just kind of throwing it together from there. Throw a couple things at the wall, see what sticks. I'm pretty easygoing. We try to make this as painless as possible. Yeah.
Like I said, flexibility, that's the common thing. If you can't move with the punches, it can catch you. And that's where it's tough. So what is a unique challenge that you've been up against that you're like, I never expected this to be a challenge, or something that you weren't picturing ever happening?
I think it's like the random, I know, and I don't want to say random, right? Like random is not right, but I think it's just like when a bunch of drivers need home time at a certain time, and it's not like a big holiday, right? Like those times kind of throw me off because I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't expect, this week to be so rigid, right? That would be the rest, like it has to be more specific and driven. I think that was something that surprised me a little bit more.
Yeah. And that can happen consistently after a holiday, right? Everybody's home for a holiday, and then they want to get out and do whatever it takes, however long they stay out. But it can kind of seem like, to your point, why is it all of a sudden everyone has this home time scheduled and it wasn't like this last week?
Yeah.
So that can kind of set that up. So for a driver, they're in your territory, what sets them up for the most success? Like obviously carrying your tarps, right? Like the basic fundamentals, but what do you look for, or what can give a driver a leg up?
I think really getting down their ETAs with the DMs and making sure that is updated as accurately as possible, right? If you're delivering late somewhere on a Friday, it's hard for me to do anything for you. I'll give it 115%, but those are the kind of things that make this job so much harder. And those ETAs really just, again, communicating with your DM. If there's a need you have, make sure you're reminding them to, say something, because I'm human. I'm going to make mistakes. I only allow myself a few a year, but, I want to do what I can for those drivers. And I work really, really hard to do that. So any communication and feedback that I can get from them directly is great too.
It's a perfect roadmap, right? Be on time. If you say you're going to do something, do it. So be there when you say you're going to do it. Hopefully they're flexible in their situation, because like you said, there's a lot of things that come your way and sometimes you're putting together a unique plan, and that flexibility helps to say, hey, this is what I have, but I also have this on the other side of that load, and then 3 loads later you'll be here. So there's a little bit, it can be a mouthful sometimes of this, but we'll get you there, and over communicate. Like simple recipe. You can bake a cake, 3 things right there.
Yeehaw.
What else keeps you hooked into this industry other than the change, the fast paced? That's, what you're doing, but you have all kinds of different, if say there was other females that were interested in this transportation industry, or maybe they had never even understood the depth of the transportation industry and they wanted to get to know more, what advice would you give?
I would say, honestly, jump right in. It's fun. It's something that keeps you busy. You build great relationships, and there's a lot of opportunity to really prove yourself here. Yeah, just jump right in. I really think like it's something fun. Like it's something different every day. You get to talk to so many different people and meet so many new people and make so many new relationships that it's good. It's fun. It's a good time.
Don't be scared. Just get in the mix. And
that's right.
And like you said, from your perspective, it's a different, right? There's so many males in this industry when you look at the driver side of it, even, and all of it. And so, yeah, you have to navigate not only the normal day to day, but some of those other external challenges that you have nothing to do with. That's just, I guess,
the way it is.
I don't know. And from my perspective, like I said, what you accomplish is no easy feat. And I think everyone should understand, if you're in the central region, when you get a load offered to you, it's touched multiple hands already, right? It didn't just show up to that driver manager to communicate to the driver. It's been worked through the customer service rep. You've had it. You've put this puzzle together. It's went to the driver manager. That driver manager's kind of signed off saying this makes sense, and then it's made it to the driver. But the amount of decisions that you have to make, and then if there's some hemming and hawing maybe in between, that can hold up your whole process. So the fast discipline, like how many loads do you think you plan in a day? Would you have, I didn't pull that, but do you think it's 30, 40, 50?
I would say it's up there, because I've done at least 15 already this morning here.
Yeah. That's just amazing to have that and to stay composed, whether your energy drinks or coffee are helping. There's some staying calm under pressure that you display. Any tips on that to stay calm, or do you have your, like, what do they call them, stress balls, where you gotta squeeze it once in a while? The stress
ball might not be a bad thing for me to purchase. No, I I do a lot of walking outside and kind of just jumping up and down to get that adrenaline or anxiety out because there's a lot going on all the time. And yeah, exactly. We got to keep calm and keep things moving. And that's what I got to do to shake myself loose. I have no problem just walking out the door and restarting.
I did the podcast before this one was with Dakota. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting because the previous few weeks, and I don't know, there's something about summer and there's like when for us in flatbed freight starts to get really busy and it gets me excited in the morning going into work. It's sometimes I feel like this shouldn't be this revved up. And when I finally get to work, my first 4 hours are when I accomplish the most because it's like I've thought about things all night. I've got all kinds of ideas. And then I come to work and it's game time. Do you get any of that like rush where you're like, I got so much to do, like I'm motivated to get it done, like it's getting you going, or is it a stressor to you in a sense?
Oh no, I want to get everything done right away as soon as possible. I want to get everyone happy. I'm a people pleaser, right? So I want to get it done, line it up, knock it out of the park, and be ready to go, the next day, right? Like that's my goal. I come in, I want everything planned for the week. I know it doesn't happen, but that's my goal every day. I want to pre-plan that whole week, make everything good to go and please everyone. So
this episode, which I love, and similar to most of my episodes, the driver's out working, right? And in your instance, and we can hear in the background, you're right on the hot floor. There's no like, I'm getting prepared. Like you're right in the thick of it right now, probably watching your emails pile up as we're going through here. Like I got things to knock out once we get done.
Try not to be obvious about it, Tyler. Come on now.
I get it. I know what we're in. Like there's plenty of decisions that have to be made. Have you always lived in Minnesota?
Yeah, so I grew up in the Taylor's Falls kind of area, Chisago Lakes, and that's kind of where I've stayed. I moved south to the cities for a little bit, and it was super nice to be close to civilization, like all of America. Oh my gosh, I was a 10-minute drive. That was life-changing. Yeah. I didn't even know that 35 had an east and a west when I was growing up. So
Really? It's nice to have some change up. I grew up near Duluth, and I can attest sometimes it's when you're living in the woods, sometimes it's nice to see people and get some collaboration and different experiences. So what are your favorite? Tell me more about you, like sports. I know was it a Cowboys fan or is that your son or?
Ouch. No, what? No, that is not America's team, Tyler. Calm down here. Growing up, I was a Packers fan, and then I realized the Vikings were more my speed. They look like they're going to be great, but somehow they just kind of fizzle out somewhere in there. But we still love them, right? Like, that's me. That's me to a T. Big football fan. My son plays football. We like baseball. I grew up playing softball. So I like the Twins, again, the home team. Mm-hmm. My husband's a Yankee fan. It's 12 years. I can't change him. Still working on it, though, guys. Still working on it.
That's... Yeah, I can, moving out of Minnesota, I held on to that Minnesota Vikings love. And there's so many, you want to talk about a build up and then a letdown. Like you said, they get you right on the edge of your seat. And then it seems like, well, that didn't go anywhere. The Timberwolves, I don't know if you're anything with basketball, but they did the same thing this year.
Yeah, I had hope. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I can't even with that one. That was just so disappointing. Like they had it, right? Like they had all the juice and then gone. Poof.
Yeah. Well, is there anything in logistics that you're wanting to conquer yet? What's on your roadmap for the future other than planning hundreds and hundreds of thousands of loads, which you're really good at?
Well, thank you. It's kind of crazy. I've kind of done just about everything, I feel, right? So I've been a dispatcher. I've been a customer service rep. I've been a planner. I've been a broker. I know. I've even been the horrible broker, which was an experience. Dispatcher, broker. I was an account executive, so I was in sales for a little bit even, And it's just, I like planning. I think I like where I'm at. I'm comfortable here, and clearly I'm doing a good job. So I think I'm just kind of locked in right now to this until maybe an opportunity grabs my attention. But this is what I like, and I want to stay here for a while.
There's so many people that have dabbled with the transportation industry, and then for good or for bad, whatever their decision making was, tested something different. And there is, I think, something contagious about being in transportation, the fast paced, the decision making, like that is very addictive. If you've been in it and you leave, oftentimes you want to get right back into that because there's some adrenaline punch behind it. And it's just so many wins in one day you can get. Sometimes there's some low ends, but like I said, from the experience that you've given, we win a lot more than we have of those challenges. Well, Sam, any tips, things that you want to offer advice, whether it's to drivers or other females looking to get in last minute that you have up your sleeve that you've been holding out on?
If you're looking to jump in and really be yourself, I've noticed that my kind of outgoing personality too has really kind of seemed to help me in the industry. I feel, don't be shy, don't be timid, really kind of jump in and grab the bull by the horns. And communication, again, I can't stress it enough. I'm going to quietly slide it in, communication, as often as I can here until we finish communication, because that makes a difference.
You're absolutely right. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, Sam, and I look forward to the next time we have another episode.
I appreciate it, Tyler. Thank you. And communication.
We will focus. We'll probably title this one Communication Above All.
There you go.
Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Keep Trucking Personal. We have a great opportunity for anyone that wants to join us as a guest or suggest topics. Like we're open and we're very flexible. So please comment, suggest, forward, share, anything to help us get feedback. So until next time, drive safe.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Keep Trucking Personal. We appreciate you taking the time to explore the heart and soul of Kivi Brothers Trucking with us. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review to let us know your thoughts. Tune in next time as we continue our journey together, diving deeper into what makes us a community, a catalyst for positive change, and a home for those who aspire to be part of something truly extraordinary. Until then, keep trucking, and we'll catch you on the next episode.